قلة المداد يا الله اسقينا بالمداد يا الله.
And other books. But Dr. Salah himself, he would start with the Quduri because it was the first real true matan in a certain way that was written. And he says, yani, there is barakah in reading it. And Imam Al-Quduri yani, was said to be one of these awliya that whenever you would read Al-Quduri from the beginning to the end, that they found your dua to be mustajab. And it would also be very often one of the first books that people would be taught, exactly as Al-Wiqaya would be and others. So when my son Laith was born, I read in his first week, I read the Ibadat from Al-Quduri to him. And so now when he's 7, I will read the Muhammad. I will read the rest, the rest of the book, and then make a dua, inshallah. So he was my first student in Quduri. Yes. Anyway, so let's continue. Subhanallah, I lost my PowerPoint here. This one. Okay. So, as I said, and keep that in mind, this is in need, if you want it at a very high level, of experts. I already made clear I am not. I'm passing on what I have been taught, which is up to a certain level. You can go higher, you can go deeper, more detailed. You won't find this with me. But what I'm sharing with you is 100% sure. Do you understand what I mean? So inshallah, for those who want to revise it, alhamdulillah, it's a good thing. I won't be able to answer all your detailed questions. I share what I know, and most probably that which I share is the only thing I know in this matter. Okay. So now people are saying, can I go back home, please? Okay, alhamdulillah. So the mu'amalat. So the mu'amalat, as we said, is all about your transactions. It's about also al-bay' and al-buyu', and this is what we are going to look at today. The definition of al-bay', the definition of al-mal. So what is wealth? What is bay'? So al-bay', from a linguistic point of view, is giving something in exchange for something else. So let us open Al-Quduri. I don't know which version you have. Is this a good version? Ustad Saleh, it's translated by Tahir Mahmoud. Yes? Are there other versions with an explanation? Or?
In English.
In English.
It's one other word.
This is the good. Okay. Bismillah. What is very beautiful in Al-Quduri is that he goes immediately from Hajj to Budur. This is the
PDF of this one.
there's a PDF of this one. So it's the Mukhtasar Al-Quduri translated by Tahir Mahmoud Kian. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبعد فنسأل الله عز وجل أن ينفعنا من خلال هذا الكتاب وأن يفقهنا وأن يلهمنا رشدنا وأن يجعلنا وإياكم ممن يطبق الفقه وممن يعمل به مخلصا لله عز وجل وممن يحيي الفقه بين الناس حتى تكون هذه الأمة راشدة إن شاء الله سالمة من العيوب والظلم آمين. يقول المؤلف رحمه الله ونفعنا الله وإياكم آمين بعلمه آمين وأعلى درجته وقدس سره. Imam Al-Quduri رحمه الله says كتاب البيوع يعني بيع or sales, the conditions of sales. He says البيع ينعقد بالإيجاب والقبول إذا كان بلفظ الماضي وإذا أوجب أحد المتعاقدين البيع فالآخر بالخيار إن شاء قبل في المجلس وإن شاء رده فأيهما قام من المجلس قبل القبول بطل الإيجاب. He says رحمه الله عز وجل, sale is concluded by making an offer and its acceptance when they are both enacted with words of the past tense. When one of the two contracting parties offers to sell, the other has a choice. If he wishes, he may accept within that session, which is called Majlisul Aqd, and if he wishes, he may rejected. So whichever of the two stands and leaves that session before the acceptance of the offer is void. So what we are always going to do, we are going to explain it in general and then we're going to detail. Okay? So meaning like we are first going to try to understand what he's saying and then we are going into depth. So he said, bail is concluded by making an offer and its acceptance when they are both enacted with words of the past tense. So al-bay', which was translated as sales from a linguistic point of view, because the Shara defines sometimes what the true meaning of something is, and then the linguistic meaning of it no longer counts. Like Hajj, for example. Like Hajj, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ. So the Hajj before would be used to visit people, but now the term has been defined by the Sharia, what to what? For pilgrimage. So we won't use it anywhere like from its linguistic point of view. Okay. So al-bay' is to give something in exchange for something else, like in Duraru al-Ahkam. And if you see, there is something which people, when they take an educator or murabbi, which is called al-mubaya'a. Al-mubaya'a, and this is because each party gives something in exchange for the other. Like the mubaya'a is, I promise to teach you, and I promise to follow up your teachings. So this is like a promise, and like in the Mughni of Ibn Qudama rahimahullah azza wa jal. In the Sharia, if we are going to have a look at Fath al-Qadir, they say it's to exchange something of value for something else of value in a way which is legit according to the Sharia. Meaning that when it's not legit according to the Sharia, it is not a bay'. No? So either when a condition is missing, we will call it a bay', but a bay' which is incorrect. But when the conditions of it being legal to start with are absent, then it will not be considered to be a bay'. So here, the next, as we said, the bay' has to do with giving something of value in exchange for something else of value. No? So what is value? What is that which defines whether something is of value or not? No? So our scholars said that there are four things which actually show us whether something is mal of value. And they said, awalan is al-mubadala. It is something which people like to give or receive in exchange for something else. Which we should know, I'm not referring to any other madhahib, right? So we are just going by the Hanafi madhab. So that's what you should know. And I'm not getting into other madhahib because let alone that mu'amalat is a very difficult science in one madhab, don't ask me to know all the four. I don't. I can already be happy if I skim the surface here. So the second one is an intifa'. So the first thing is something which people want to give in exchange for something else. No? Then the second thing is an intifa'. What is intifa'? To be able to benefit from it. And we're going to explain all of this later. Then it is something مما يحب أن يقتنعه الناس. It is something which people like to gather, or they would be ready to give money for it. They want it. Okay? And then يُدَّخَرْ لِوَقْتِ الْحَاجَةِ. It is something that you can set aside for the moment that you are in need of it. No? It is something that... So now, if I give the example of one rice grain, now, would people do mubadala for one rice grain? You say rice grain?
Grain of rice.
Grain of rice. Why is it so difficult? Grain of rice. Rice grain is better. So one rice grain. Now, so people for one grain of rice, they are not going to do mubadala. Nobody says this is nafi, because if you eat one, you will still die when you're hungry. One grain of rice won't save your life. No? And then la yuqtana. It's not something like people are saying, oh, I want a grain of rice, If you do, then you need to go to a psychologist. Unless it is a grain of rice which has been used to write some calligraphy on it. Like some Chinese people, on one grain of rice, they would make a drawing, all of a sudden changing the value of that grain of rice. So that then could be considered according to the urf, because also the urf sometimes decides whether something is of value or not, because something which is of value here can be something that people throw away somewhere else. So a grain of rice in its normal original state now is not something that people do mubadala, it's not something that is nafi', which is beneficial, it's not something that people want to have, and it's not something that you can put aside for the time you need it. So al-mubadala, al-intifa', then al-iqtina' and al-iddikhar. Okay. So now, al-mal, we said, is something that people want to exchange in exchange for something else. Either because it has a value, but now there's an important point, or it restores the value of something. Look, this watch here, I have this watch. If now this button, or how do you call this? A button that I turn to adjust the time, winter time, summertime, winter time, summertime. So now this breaks, it's lost. On its own, this little thing, people don't want it. So if I just have this, nobody will want to exchange that for something else, so it wouldn't be mal. But all of a sudden it becomes mal for me because it will restore the value of something. So even if on its own it didn't really have a value, it received its value because it was able to restore the value of something else. Is that clear? So it's either mal, yani because it has a value, or for you specifically, for you, all of a sudden, it has a true value. What is the proof that it's a true value for you? Is because you want to give something of value in exchange for it, which is money, which might be £5, 15 points, 5 pounds, 10 or 15, whatsoever. Is that clear? So the mal is either that which has a value, or doesn't really have a true value, but it has a value because it restores the value of something else. Okay. And then the later ahnaf, like in Murshid al-Hayran and in other books, you will see that they said, like, a value is everything which has a value, or sorry, a value is everything for which people want to pay. And anything that you can deliver for which people want to pay you is what? Is mal.
So if I have this piece of paper,
Yes.
and suddenly everybody here values it, that would be mal.
What is your answer, Asim?
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
it's like currency, fiat currency.
Like, yeah. MashaAllah, nice example. Then mal can be divided into two categories. So we know what the four conditions are. So now mal can be divided into two categories, which is al-aqar and al-manqul. Al-aqarat and al-manqulat, and then something within the madhab which can be in between. Okay? But now I just want you to understand these two definitions. Al-aqar is that which can't be moved. Al-aqar or al-aqarat is that which can't be moved. Like pieces of land and houses, for example. But now, and we will look at that later, we have these mobile houses, like especially in America. You see a house and then all of a sudden you see it on a trailer. Like, is this now aqarat or manqulat? You see? So, because it makes a difference in the way that we are going about with buying, selling, and contracts and so forth. So you have al-aqarat and you have al-manqulat. Manqulat is that which can be moved. For example, a car, animals, and so much more. Then, within the manqul, we have the makilat and the mawzunat. Al-makil wal-mawzun. So the best way to remember what the makil is that of which a part won't be weighed unless it is within a group of its kind. But al-makil in reality is everything which is not weighed, but which is measured by a cup, for example. This is what? Al-makilat. So, this bowl of rice, and you go into the bag of rice is €2, for example. Okay. So, but al-mawzunat is that which is weighed. That which is weighed. Okay. So if you weighed, but now today people will put a weight on that which used to be al-makilat. Like people say 5 kilo of rice, 5 kilo of flour. Before they would not weigh these things. They would, you know, put it in a sort of
handful.
what?
A handful.
Yes, a handful, a sa', and so much more. Okay. I remember one day I sat with somebody and he was talking about the med of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I said, what does he mean? He said, yes, his med was very small. I mean, what do you mean, 2 counts? Or what do you mean? So what should he have said also? The mud of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, try to buy this.
We have.
You have it? Oh, nice. Good. So gold and silver and so forth, all of these are manqulat. So, what is the definition of mal? Yani, it is everything which has a value, which people want to give something of value in exchange for, and in order for it to be a true bayr, it needs to be legit from the Sharia point of view. So, and we will see that there is a difference between al-bay' al-batil and al-bay' al-fasid, al-aqd al-batil and al-fasid. So, but we will explain that later on. Then we said there were 4 conditions in order for something to be called mal. One was al-mubadala. People give something in exchange for it. 2, al-intifa'. It should be of benefit. 3, al-iqtina', which is people desire it. And then 4 was al-iddikhar, something that you can put aside liwaqt al-haja, meaning that even if you don't use it and it's useful or it could be used, then it's mal. Like that chair, that 6th chair on your table, at your table, that you never sit on. Now you never use it. It's always there. But when I could use it, when I have a guest, I can use it when another chair breaks or you know whatever. So I can do iddikhar of it. So it doesn't only refer to food. It refers to everything that you can use in a certain point of time. Okay. So now, then we said that mal is divided into aqar and manqul. Al-aqarat is that which can be moved, and al-manqulat is that which aqarat is that which can't be moved. And al-manqulat is that which can be moved. Then we said the manqul is like what?
2 types. Makil.
Al-makil and al-mawzoon. What was the difference between makil and mawzoon? Makil is that which isn't measured, and al-mawzoon is that which is weighed. Okay? So until here. So he says al-bay'u, so we know what al-bay' is, يَنْعَقِدُ بِالْإِيجَابِ وَالْقَبُولِ. Al-ijab wal-qabul, how are we going to translate it? Here they say, by making an offer and its acceptance. In the Hanafi fiqh, it's very easy. Why is it easy? Because it doesn't matter to us whether the one who is selling is the first one to make a proposal or whether it's the one who is buying. No? In other madhab you can find that they say no, there needs to be a certain specific order. We don't have this. This is either you say I'm selling this for £5 to you, and you says I agree for £3. Well, that's a new art now. So, but if I'm the first one, even when I'm selling, because this is what is happening. When you now go to the shop, you know some people who stick to another method might find it very difficult. You go to Tesco's, and actually the one who is selling is the first one who says how much it costs, right? Because even if it's not said, there is an ishara. No? So it says like, okay, these potatoes for £3, and you take it. You didn't speak, did you? You didn't speak. So we will see that this is a ta'ati, right? So let us see. So he says, ijab al-qabul. Yani without regards to it being you making the offer as a seller or as a buyer asking that person to sell you something. So this is point number 1. Then he says, yani bilafd al-madi. And he says in the past tense. We say the past tense is an example, it's not a qaida. As long as it is clear that there is the agreement between both parties that it has been sold, or that they agree that it is sold. But if somebody were to say, yeah, inshallah, I will buy this from you, that's a promise, that's not a contract. No? I will buy this from you, yeah, inshallah. You know, that is a promise. So why? Because there is no jazm. No? There is no true jazm, there is no true emphasis on the point that you will what? That you will buy from that particular person. Okay, let's continue. So now, he says, to make it very clear, in our Hanafi fiqh, So either it's two parties saying something, and that they are both pleased with it happening, either both parties explicitly say, I have sold this to you, I bought this from you for this amount or whatever, or also when one party says something. Like you say, okay, I'm selling this to you for £5, and I give that person £5. Khalas, that's also a transaction. Or when nobody says something. When nobody says something. Like, for example, not truly saying something, like the £5 that you find for the potatoes in Tesco's, but this is not orally saying something, right?
Self-service checkout.
Exactly, yes. So you are agreeing, even though it's a machine in front of you. There's not even a human being in front of you. So should you now say, do you agree? You paying, and the machine indicating how much it is. Well, you have agreed now. So which is very strange. I don't think our previous fuqaha would be thinking that one day they have to define whether buying from a robot would be allowed. But our Muslims, they did design a robot. Like in a book, Al-Kashkul, they said that one of the governors had his slave, he said, I don't want to be served by humans. He said, I'm too good, I don't want, they're smelly, they're nasty, sometimes they're in a good mood, sometimes they're in a bad mood, make something for me. And then he actually created a robot, but that was with weights. So, and he put it on kind of rails with wooden wheels, and then he calculated, the speed of it, and then it would serve him. Put the plate, or he would put the cup on a particular place, and then he would, pour the water or whatever. It might have been wine in this case. Anyway, so he poured it into the cup. So our Muslim friends were quite innovative back in the days. But anyway, so now, or when nobody says something, or whether the seller is the first one to say something, or the buyer, and then it doesn't matter whether it is a physical presence or not. Now, if both of the people know that they are talking to a person, they know on the other side of the line, on WhatsApp or whatever, or Telegram, then even there it is buying and selling. Okay, so alhamdulillah, in our madhab this is easy. When you are going to the Shafi'i madhab, a lot of the transactions that are going on today are not allowed according to their madhab, so they need to go somewhere looking in the Hanafi fiqh, for example. Like Hanafis sometimes go looking in the madhab when it comes down to reading the Qur'an, or a woman reading in the Qur'an during a certain period in her life. So anyway, let us continue. So, البيع ينعقد بالإيجاب والقبول. So this is very important, the taradi as well. There is no ikrah fil buyu'a. You can't force someone to buy something, and you can't force someone to sell something. It should be explicitly said. So now, the sukut laysa bil iqrar. Now, the sukut, when you remain silent, it doesn't mean I agree. Like when someone tells you, I will sell this computer to you for £400, and you remain silent. And then I come to you and say, brother, where's the £400? And you say, what do you mean? Well, when I proposed you didn't say no. And the Prophet ﷺ said that if a woman is asked for marriage, and she hasn't been married before, and she doesn't say something, sukutuha iqraruha, that she doesn't reply, means that she agreed. You said, 1, I'm not a woman. 2, I'm not being asked for marriage. 3, this is what? This is something else. So anyway, قياس مع الفارق. بل قياس مبني على الجهل. Yes.
How does this fit in with online shopping? Because
Same thing.
when the object you're selling, the other person cannot really physically really see it or touch it.
You still have the khiyar, you have the shart of ru'ya. Very often you can send it, when you really see it, you still have the right within 2 weeks to send it back and so forth, so much more. So you need to have a look at what the shurut are and so forth, but we will get to the shurut of the ru'ya, and we will talk about the aib and all these things. So that will definitely come inshallah. Okay, so al-bay'u and we Ahnaf, we have made the khiyar al-ru'ya min huquqillah. The shart al-ru'ya, we have made it of huquqillah, meaning that this right will always be there even if it's not included in the contract, or even if the contract says no, you always have the choice for ru'ya. In order to protect you, because a lot of falsification is going on. Anyway, but let us come back to that later. So now the thing it says البيع ينعقد بالإيجاب والقبول إذا كان بلفظ الماضي وإذا أوجب أحد المتعاقدين البيع. And when one of the two contracting parties offers to sell, well, it's not offers to sell. I'm sorry, I don't agree. أوجب يعني ألزم نفسه بشيء. It's not I offer. No, I make clear that I have the intention or that I have decided that I'm selling it. It's not like offering. So how would we do this if we want to say Ustad Salih, like ألزم نفسه? It's not like العرض. It's like الإلزام. يعني أوجب على نفسه أن يبيعه وأوجب على نفسه أن يشتريه. How would we translate that then? How would we do it? Offer is still good? Maybe it's a lack of language.
Like, so someone enforces upon himself. Like,
Yes, someone enforces upon himself. Because if there is no jazm, it's just an offer, then you know, I'm willing, well, look at what I'm doing. It's like a proposal. It's not offering. This is why al-ijab is called ijab. Because one, how do you say it?
you're enforcing it upon yourself.
Enforces upon himself, not upon the other, to sell it or to buy it. And how did he enforce this upon himself? By making clear that he sold it or is selling it to you, or that you are buying it. Because by doing this, it becomes a what? It becomes obligatory upon you to fulfill what you have enforced upon yourself. Okay? That's clear, right? Okay. So now, إذا أوجب أحد المتعاقدين البيع في الآخر بالخيار إن شاء قبل في المجلس وإن شاء رده. So here you see that he says that it should be in the same majlis, and he says so whichever of the two stands and leaves that session. So we're going to talk about this one. So we say that the majlis, the gathering, can be left حسا أو معنى. حسا أو معنى. Meaning that when the two parties didn't agree in their one sitting to buy it and sell it, then there's nothing going on, there's no contract. But this can also be figuratively speaking, like I'm sitting with Ustad Salih, for example, and I say, Ustad Salih, I would like to buy your computer for £10. He won't agree, but anyway. So, and he says, okay, I sold it to you for £10. Done. But now, Salih, I want to buy this from you for £10. So he says, yeah, £10. I don't agree. I want £12. And I don't reply. So now this is a new act, right? So we continue, and all of a sudden, I ask Ustad Salih, did you see what Trump said yesterday and Boris Johnson? Oh, Boris Johnson, yes. Yes, he has Turkish roots, isn't it? Yes. So he has, right? So all of a sudden we start talking about something else, and then I say, well, I agree to your offer. £12 is good. No, because now there needs to be a new act needs to be made up. Why? Because we changed subject. So when we say majlis wahid, it means that within the majlis we don't change the topic, because we say that it's either ma'nan or hissan. Yani that either we separate, after having what? Agreed. Physically, but we're going to explain what physically means. Is it leaving the room? No. Or what? By changing the topic. So then we are in need of a new contract. Is that clear? Okay. But the moment, and this is very important, that you have agreed, there is no coming back. Meaning, you call your friend, once again Ustad Salih. I say, Ustad Salih, I want to buy from you your car for 2,500. He says, 2,500 is good. I say, Barakallah Fiqh, I will give you the keys later. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. I hang up. When I hang up the phone, your wife says not your wife, like the wife of someone says, did you really buy that car for 2,500? Why did I saw that same car for 2,000? I mean, 500 for nothing. Now I call Ustad Salih. Actually, I made up my mind. I really don't want it. Now Ustad Salih can't prove that we have agreed because I didn't write it. Me now coming back on my words, and Ustad Salih doesn't have to come back on his words. This bay' yan'aqid. Now this is, we have agreed. And it is his right to say, I want it. And if I don't, even if he can't complain now in court because he has nothing to stand on, no evidence, then I will be zalimun lahu. Then I will be a zalim li Salih. Is that clear? Because we have agreed. And how often do we do these kind of things? Or you tell a brother, do you have that book? Yeah, I have it. Okay, inshallah, bring it back next time, I will pay you. And the brother says, okay, £5. Okay, that's good. And then, you say, oh brother, you know what? Let the book, because you found it for 3.5. All of this is haram. So at the end of the day, we will be oppressing people. So this is why we need to know these kind of things. So now we said in one majlis, let me say, I'm once again with Ustad Saleh. And I say, Ustad Saleh, this watch, I want to sell it to you. I'm selling it to you for £5. And Ustad Saleh now doesn't say anything. He goes home and he comes back and gives me £5. And I say, I'm sorry, Ustad Saleh, it's 10. Well, from an ethical point of view, it isn't correct. It's not very nice. But from a fiqh point of view, it is my right. Because before him leaving the majlis, we didn't agree. We didn't settle it. So when he now comes back and gives me £5, I can say I don't want to sell the watch anymore. And then the brother, not Salih, Ustad Salih is not like that, somebody else might then say, like, hey, brother, what's this? You're making promises and now you're not doing it? I was so happy to have the watch. This is emotions. Fiqh has no emotions. This is where we go wrong. Brother, akhirah, this, no akhirah, no brother, it's just fiqh. I am allowed to do this. Leave me alone. You're a stalker. I will call the police. So if you now are going to look at this, barakallahu fikum, I'm getting back to you straight. So if you're going to look at this, then very often we have grudges in our heart because of no reason, because of no valid reason. And this is why fiqh is zuhd. If we go by fiqh and we know that this is hukmullah wa hukmul rasul, we won't become angry. And if we are angry, then we have a problem with our iman, because it's the rule of Allah. You see? So now I can say no. But if he now comes and gives me £5 and then I give him the watch, then there's no problem. Okay? So now to come back. Now Imam Ustad Saleh says, okay, £5 is good. He goes home, comes back with the £5. Well, it was agreed within the same majlis, didn't it? We agreed upon it in the same majlis. So now I, as a seller, come back on my words. I said, but I know it's 10 now. No. Because maybe when the brother went home, I looked up on Amazon and I saw that I can sell my watch for twice the price. Well, you seeing that is what? Is not any form of argument. You have now to sell your watch for that price. Is that clear? Okay. Unless somebody makes a mistake, like you stand in front of your friend's Mercedes E-Class or S-Class, and you know that the price of the car is 28,000, for example, second hand. Another brother says, yeah, inshallah, 2,800, and then it's clear and obvious that this can never be the price for that car and that he made a mistake. So when you say, oh, 2,800, I accept. He said, no, it's not 2,800, it's 28,000. So now it is clear that it's a ta'arrud lil-nisyan wal-khata, so it's a mistake that he has made. So here we can't just, enforce that price on that person. Is that clear? So this is with regards to the matter. So if we now we agreed, even while we are sitting, and I didn't leave my space, the physical agreement means that we agree in the same sitting, but not until I leave the room. It's just here and now. Then even if we stay together for 15 hours, talking about nothing, you can't come back on your words because we have agreed. The moment the two parties agree, it's done. Okay? So this, in very brief, are some of the things. He said, فَأَيُّهُمَا قَامَ مِنَ الْمَجْلِسِ يعني قبل القبول بطل الإيجاب. يعني we say that it has to do with either changing the subject or physically leaving the room before having agreed. Now, So this is in brief, and in the first class. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. You were first, yes.
You said when the deal is done,
Yeah.
you can't go back on it, either party.
No, unless the seller agrees. Like if now I would call Ustad Saleh, and I call him honestly, not like I changed my mind, because I have financial problems. I tell Ustad Saleh, to be quite frank, you said 2,500. I know that from a fiqh point I have to do it, but I found it for 2,000 and I really, I can use this money. If now Ustad Saleh says yes, then لا ينعقد البيع. Then we can say, okay, the contract has been annulled, but only he can do that.
So the question is, like, let's say you buy something online.
Yes.
You agree the price, everything
Yes.
you paid for it, it gets delivered.
Yes.
Then you find the same item cheaper elsewhere. Now there's nothing wrong with the item. You both agree to buy and sell, and then you want to give it back because you want to buy it cheaper somewhere else. Is that valid?
That goes back to the conditions that the one who has sold it to you. Like, can you send it back after seeing it? The problem, there is no aim in it.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? But we will get back to online and stuff. Because,
I mean, even if it's
this-
not online, like generally
No,
speaking.
why? You have agreed on the price, it was sent to you. And there is no aim. So, when we get to Hubn al-Fahish, if the profit which has been made is so high that it becomes oppression and dhulm, yes. And that then also goes back to that which you have bought. Like if it's about cars, then you talk about a difference in the thousands. If you buy a watch, it might be £5, £10, which is not Hubn al-Fahish at all.
Like in this country, for example, there's a law that within 30 days you can return the item without any
Okay,
issues.
but the reason why you return an item should be because of a aim, not just because you.
So if you find it cheaper elsewhere, it's not valid to return it just for the sake of getting a cheaper price. It's not huge.
You have bought it. It's done.
Unless the person who bought it agrees to.
Yes, unless the person agrees. Yeah.
So would that be considered agreement that within 40
Then you
days?
have to look at the words. If he says you can return it because one, it does not live up to your expectations, or because there is a flaw, he will be defining what the reason is why you can return it. But I don't think they would say if you find it cheaper, then just send it back. Anyway, but we will get into details, inshallah. Okay. So for the moment, I would like to stick to this. Then we go to online trading and so much more, inshallah. Yes, I have to ask it during the next break. Is that good? Because I have to start with the next class.
Sure. You want to take a break?
A break.